the bracha on the lulav every day, or do you say one bracha on the lulav on the first day? Does that cover you for the whole Yom Tov? Morning, Mark. And
Morning,
similarly,
Rabbi.
morning. Similarly, we had the same question regarding the sukkah. You make a bracha on the sukkah the first day. Do you need to make a bracha every time, or do you just make a bracha one day? That was a discussion that our Gemara brought, and the Gemara brought various opinions regarding that. To that, our Gemara on 46a1 had brought a contradiction to one of the opinions, because we said over here in this breakdown 46a1, it says regarding the sukkah, it says once you enter the sukkah the first day, you don't make another bracha on the sukkah. That was the opinion of this breakdown. And regarding lulav, the breakdown says that you make a bracha every day of the 7 days when it comes to lulav. But this breakdown that says that we make the bracha on lulav every day, on sukkah only once, was a contradiction to what we brought before. We had brought an opinion that said differently. So let's see how the Gemara is going to address the issue. So the Gemara says we are on the words kasha lulav alulav, kasha sukkah sukkah, at the bottom of column 1 of 46a1. So we have a contradiction of lulav on lulav. The law of the Braita regarding lulav contradicts Rav Yochanan's opinion regarding lulav. Yochanan, the statement in the name of Rav Yochanan was the first Rav Yochanan, that sukkah is all 7 days and lulav is 1 day. And here we have a contradiction. Similarly, we have a kasha sukkah and sukkah. We have a contradiction sukkah and sukkah because Rav Yochanan, we had a recording in the name of Rav Yochanan that sukkah, every day of sukkah you say a separate bracha. You say separate bracha, and here we say no, you just say one bracha on the sukkah. So how does the Gemara address this apparent contradiction? Now, this is a breita. This is an early from Tanoim. This is an early statement, and the later rabbis, the Amoraim, the later generations, do not want to argue on the early generation. So therefore, they're not on the same level. They're not the same level of greatness. They don't look at themselves that way. And therefore, how do we address that? So that's what the Gemara is coming to address. So the Gemara first says, for the Bishlam Lulav Alulav, I have a simple way to explain the apparent condition of Lulav Alulav, Lo Kasha. That's not a question. Why? Because Kan, the Braita that says that you say a bracha on the Lulav every day, the Braita says you say a bracha on the Lulav, Bisman Beit HaMikdash Kayam was talking about the time when the Beit HaMikdash was around. So in the Mikdash, we said that the mitzvah lulav is for 7 days. Every day there's a mitzvah in the Mikdash to take the lulav. Outside the Mikdash, there's only the first day. But the Mikdash is a mitzvah every day. And since it's a biblical Minatorah mitzvah every day, so therefore the Rabbanan, the rabbis, instituted a bracha for that mitzvah every day. However, when Rabbi Yochanan when the statement is said in the name of Rabbi Yochanan that you say one bracha on lulav and first day, and that covers the whole holiday, that's talking about an hour time, Rabbi Yochanan's time, where Rabbi Yochanan lived, which makes a lot of sense. And he's saying, you know what you do today? Rabbi Yochanan, that opinion of Rabbi Yochanan was, you just say the bracha the first day on the lulav, because in our days, there's no Beit HaMikdash, the mitzvah of lulav, all throughout the whole holiday, for everybody, wherever you are in the world, is 1 day on a Torah level, the one assignment. And therefore, since it's only 1 day, so you only have to make a bracha the first day. So that's a good, that seems to be a very clean-cut answer, on what the distinction is. Again, what's the distinction? In the time of the Beit HaMikdash, where the mitzvah is Minatorah every day in the Mikdash, so therefore maybe that's what the Braita says, you make a bracha every day. But the Rabbi Yochanan's opinion statement that you only make a bracha the first day in lulav, that's the when there's no Beit HaMikdash, and therefore he said that the rabbis did not require a bracha every day once you made the bracha the first day, that's good enough. The rest of the days are rabbinic mitzvot, and they didn't require a bracha on that. That was the answer to that. Ella, the Gemara says, Sukkah kasha. We have a question on Sukkah because the Breita says, now Sukkah we know is a mitzvah min Torah always. Today's day and age, there's a mitzvah min Torah on Sukkah. If you're eating bread, having a meal, full meal of bread, you have a mitzvah of Sukkah all 7 days. Both whether there's a Beit HaMikdash, no Beit HaMikdash, it's not connected to the Beit HaMikdash, the mitzvah of Sukkah. So both in the time of the Beit HaMikdash and both in the time today, there is no difference in the biblical rabbinic obligation of Sukkah. So how is it that one place it says Sukkah, you have to say a bracha every day, and one place it says, and the Breita says that you only have to say the bracha once. The first day of Sukkot, that bracha, the first day of Sukkot, will cover you throughout the whole holiday. So the Gemara says, Tanoi. The Gemara says, you know what? Rabbi Yochanan, who went on record and he said that you say the bracha on the Sukkah is every day. You say a bracha on the Sukkah, which is our halacha. That happens. He has a Tana on his side. He has an early rabbi on his side. So therefore,
but was that the Tanaim said originally that you only have to say it on the first day?
That was the challenge from the Tana, the Breita. The Gemara brought a Breita now, and that Tana and the Breita says only the first day you say bracha on Sukkah, and that's it.
Right. So how did he go against that?
How do you go against it? The Gemara says, you know how you go against it? Because he really is going with an early. He has another Tana. This is a matter of dispute among the Tanaim. Not just the later rabbis are arguing on the deal. The early rabbis, and Rabbi Yochanan could hang his hat on a early rabbi who said that you do a Sukkah, a Tana that says you make a bracha on the Sukkah every day. No, the Tanaim were during the Breita period. So, who the authors of Breita? Exactly. It's two Tanoim, like Beit Shammai, Beit Hillel, it's two Tanoim. So that Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi Tarfon, Rabbi Eliezer ben Azai, that's a Tanaic period. That's the Mishnah period. And therefore what do you say? Equal set, right. You're all in the same league. Exactly, like David said. But the Gemara Tanai, and now the Gemara is going to show where we find this machloket Tanaim. Tanya. We learned in a Breita. Now we're getting into Tefillin. Tefillin. Kol zman shemanicham mivorach alehem. Every time, good morning, welcome back, Adam. Good morning. Every time you put on your tefillin, and the way Rashi says, even if you take off your tefillin and put it on 100 times during the day, every time you're redoing the mitzvah again, the new mitzvah, you going ahead, by the way, tefillin is not like lulav. Adam, we are on 46A1, the bottom, right bottom. See, the mitzvah of lulav is take the lulav once during the day, and the mitzvah is technically you fulfill the mitzvah. The Torah, it's not a mitzvah throughout the day. The time period, good morning, Michael. The period of the mitzvah of lulav is throughout the day. Meaning the Torah gave a window. Just like reading the Megillah Esther, technically the time period is the whole day. We don't recommend that you should read the Megillah Esther at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. We recommend you should read it first thing in the morning. But technically the window of the time of the mitzvah, but there's no mitzvah to read the Megillah twice. You read the Megillah once. Let me clarify. No mitzvah on the daytime to read it twice. You have to read it. You have to read it once by night and once by day. There's no mitzvah to read it. You don't get a mitzvah of reading a Megillah twice by reading it. For the mitzvah Megillah, you might have got the mitzvah Talmud Torah. You read it a second time during the daytime.
In Syria, they read it 3 times.
Okay, that's beautiful. Maybe they read it 3 times in Syria, just like maybe you
because it's a hefsek if it's a part of Israel or not, and
I mean, okay, that depends.
No
Depends on
berachot. Rabbi Nahum told me they didn't say berachot on the third time.
but what you're saying is because they may have read it over 2 days, not the same. They didn't read. Maybe they didn't read it the same
They
day multiple
they
times.
read Shushan Purim. They read Purim.
Right. But here we're talking about the same day doing it twice. The mitzvah of lulav, you have one time during the day. It's over, right? But when it comes to tefillin, the mitzvah of tefillin, technically, technically the mitzvah of tefillin is the whole day. You get a mitzvah, if you wear tefillin the whole day, every second you're wearing tefillin, you get a mitzvah. It's not that the mitzvah is over. If you hold a lulav the whole day in your hand, you don't get a mitzvah the whole day. Every second you hold lulav in your hand. You get a mitzvah, but when it comes to tefillin, so therefore we say over here that Rashi says every time you would put on your tefillin, even if you would put it on 100 times during the day, he holds that you would go ahead and say a bracha every time. Divrei, even okay, so that seems that might be an argument between the Sfardim and the Ashkenazim. But if you look in the Shulchan Aruch, I'm going to take up this question. This statement about tefillin, you see a little letter. See a letter Dalet on top. The Dalet takes you to the eye of the law, which is Simen Chaf Hey Sif Yud Bet. And Simen Chaf Hey Sif Yud Bet says the following. It says, if you put on tefillin, today's Rosh Chodesh, yes, Chodesh Tov to everybody. If you put on tefillin many times during the day, you have to say the bracha on the tefillin every time you put on tefillin. That's the statement of the Shulchan Aruch. Comes the Chafetz Chaim, and he explains this opinion of the Shulchan Aruch. Even when you removed your tefillin, you had a mind to put them back on immediately. Even if you didn't change your place at all. That's how he understands the Sephardi opinion. But the Ramah, the Ashkenaz opinion, disagrees and says, you would not go ahead in such a circumstance. If you had a mind to put it right back on, you would not go ahead and right. So the people that wear 2 pairs of tefillin, they're wearing Rashi's. There's a question halacha exactly regarding the tefillin, how the placement of the parshiot, and there's Rashi's tefillin, there's Tam's tefillin. So they're wearing both. They were filling both opinions. So many people might put on Rashi, and then after at a certain point they'll take off Rashi's tefillin and put on Rabbeinu Tam. Then there are those people that put on both simultaneously. But the people, by the way, that have to beware, if you put on both tefillin simultaneously, you got to make sure that they don't come too low on the proper spot. Because when you put 2 tefillin, you maybe have to make sure it's still on the muscle. It shouldn't come too low off the muscle. People have to be careful. Your muscle is not over here. Your muscle's over a little bit over. Similarly with your shel rosh. If you put on 2 tefillin, I think Rabbi Avad Yosef had great concern with the 2 tefillin on simultaneously. I think one of his concerns I say that concern that people might not do it right because they might, in honor of doing both, but you might lose out by putting the tefillin might come too low on your forehead. They're always higher than better. As you know, we work on the tefillin and the shul, as we all know. So now let's go back to the Gemara. So the Gemara says, tefillin kozman shemenichan. Every time you put on your tefillin, the Gemara says, now it could be, by the way, Nathan, to address your point, the language of the Gemara says the whole time you put it on, you say a bracha. It doesn't say it doesn't specify circumstances that only if you intention, not intentions. That maybe could be an explanation why the Shulchan Aruch, the Rabbi Yosef Kairo's opinion is it doesn't make a difference whether you had intention to put it back on or not. I mean, and Rashi says even 100 times during the day. Now, to say that statement of Rashi 100 times during the day, I would think sometimes you had a mind to put it back on, right? So that's maybe that's what Rashi is lending to, and maybe that's why it lends a little bit to that opinion of the Shulchan Aruch. The Chachamim say, "Eina mevarech ela b'shachrit b'vad." The Chacham say you only say the bracha once. You don't say it 100 times every day. You put on the tefillin in the morning, that covers you the whole day. Right. Tosfos over there addresses the issue. Why don't we say, why isn't your going to work considered a hefsek, considered an interruption? Tosfos says an idea that, you know what, even when you go to work, your mind is still on going back to the learning. Just like, like you're stepping out and you're going back. If you're not really losing your focus on the learning. I wish everyone is on that level, right? Is that beautiful, Mark? That's what Tosfos says. Therefore, you're still getting back. That's how the mindset. We need to have mindset that we're going back to learn. Really, because you know why? Maybe because the idea is that a person has to learn Torah by day and by night. So maybe therefore when you finish your work, you're going back to learn. So the Rebbe, the Chachamim now. So the same now 46A1. Now we're turning the page of 46A2, the top of the page. So we see over here that there's an argument between the Chachamim and Rebbe regarding tefillin. Is it every day? Is it every time of the day, or just once a day? So too regarding the mitzvah of Sukkah. So the mitzvah of Sukkah, it's like, even though it's the whole holiday is like one day, like the mitzvah is like continuous throughout the day, and so Rebbe holds, so according to Rebbe, you would have to make a bracha every time you enter the sukkah, just like when it comes to tefillin, every time you put on the tefillin, you have a mitzvah. You would say a bracha. So Rebbe would also hold every time you would go into the sukkah, you would say a bracha. Now, so therefore, we have no contradiction on Rabbi Yochanan's law. Rabbi Yochanan's law was that 7 days of Sukkot you say a bracha every day. So we see the same way tefillin you would say it every time. So too by Sukkah also you would also say it every day. So that's what the Gemara wants. We found a Tana that's in the camp of Rabbi Yochanan that says that you don't just say one bracha and that covers for the whole holiday. Just like you don't say one bracha on tefillin and it doesn't cover you for the whole day. You could say it. You could say the bracha 100 times during the day. So that's what the Gemara wants to. Right. Okay. So that would be so very good. So we have a matter of machloket. So we have a difference of opinion. We're showing when we're not that braita is going like one opinion, meaning that braita that says that by Sukkah you say the bracha only once, right? That braita is like the Chachamim that says by tefillin you will only say it once by the day. You don't say it every time. So we have that braita, that Tana is like the Chachamim, but Rebbe disagrees. Say it again.
Because you're doing every day, you're bracha every day. Sukkah, the parallel to that would be eating bracha once every day.
Right. So the question but the mitzvah of tefillin. Good morning. We said it. Let's say it's throughout the day, and the mitzvah of tefillin we say it is what throughout the day, and the same way we say that the mitzvah of tefillin we're going to say the bracha many times. So according to this, a sukkah also, every time in the morning you'll say a bracha, afternoon, at night you'll say a bracha. So now the question is, what's the halacha? Like Mark is mentioning, the Braita says something else, the other Braita says something else. So who do we follow? What do we do regarding sukkah? Do we say a bracha every time, every day by sukkah, or do we go ahead and say, just one bracha the first day and that's it? So itma. Abaya says hilchata kerebi. The halacha is like Rebbe by tefillin, that every time you put on the tefillin, even 100 times during the day, you say a new bracha, and that will be the same halacha regarding sukkah. That every time, you would go back into the sukkah, you would go ahead and make a new bracha if you morning, night. Now, that's consistent. Now comes Amar Rava Amar, and Rava said Hilchata Kerabanan. Rava says the law follows like the Rabbanan. The law follows like the Rabbanan that says that you say it only by tefillin, you'd only say it one time during the day. I mean, tefillin, technically, the mitzvah tefillin is any time during the day you could put on tefillin. But the prei shachrit, I mean, there is really, if a person by mistake, really you have it till chatzot, you have it till midday, till noontime. Today midday is about 1 o'clock to pray. To pray shachrit today, but the mitzvah of Shema, in order to fulfill the biblical mitzvah of Shema, you have to say it before 3 hours into the day. But by not later than 3 hours, 3 biblical hours, like Nathan says, which today most probably, I'm guessing, is around 9:30, 9:35, according to the second opinion. The early opinion, maybe it's around 9 o'clock or so. You could pray at 10:30, but you miss certain things. Meaning there's something called Shema at the right time. You miss. Right. Not the mitzvah. Right. You don't get the mitzvah. You don't get the mitzvah. There's a mitzvah called Shema every morning. You lost that mitzvah. It's like learning Torah if you do it at 10:30 in the morning. And there's something called Zman Tfilah. That there's a window of davening shachrit. There's a special time by 4 hours into the day, and you lost that if you daven too late. 10:30 you still might make it. 10:30 today is about the what? Earliest you could pray. I mean, the ideal early is sunrise. But then if a person's traveling, or if a person has a situation that they have to pray before sunrise, they could pray before sunrise also. Okay. Good morning. So the Gemara says, if you're going to pray, you could pray, let's say, about 1 hour before sunrise. You could pray. You could start davening. You could start the prayers. Morning, Akiva. They start that's when they start the Shemona Esrei. Nate's at sunrise, they start the Shemona Esrei. You can pray up to right. Yeah, but you wait for them. You're looking for that time to get that sunrise. That's technically the ideal time to pray. Now, generally we have a rule. When there's an argument between Abaye and Rava, Rava is the general winner. There's only a certain amount of cases called Yal Kagam, which are acronyms for different cases. Maybe 6 cases or so that the law follows Abaye. So if you note, we have Abaye on record that says that wanting tefillin, you would say it every time, and that also would be by Sukkah, would mean every day. But Rava says no, you only say a bracha on the tefillin once a day, which would seem to indicate that by Sukkah you would only say the bracha one time, and that will cover the whole holiday. But we're going to see. Yes. But it could be. See, the question would be like this: if you hold that nighttime is not a time for tefillin, so then you could say why tefillin you would make it. Then that's different than Sukkah, because Sukkah is the mitzvah is continuous, night and day. So therefore, you could say Sukkah you would make it once. Right, but by tefillin, the night breaks us. You only would say one every day for tefillin, but once total for Sukkah. Right. That's if you hold nighttime. It's not the time. And anyways, we hold we don't put on tefillin at night. So we already tell you there's an argument in the Gemara on a Torah level. Do you have to put on? Is there a mitzvah every night to have tefillin on as well? But even if you hold that there is a mitzvah to have tefillin on at night, at least on a rabbinic level, we don't put on tefillin at night because we're afraid you're gonna mitgazes in the tefillin. You won't keep your body clean. So therefore, there's always an interruption by the tefillin. That's why it would be every day, at least once a day. Now, so comes the Gemara and says the following. Amar Rav Mori. Rav Mori says, Mori is a Gemara name, Mori, right? Amar Rav Mori. Bara the Bat Shmuel. Rav Mori was the son of the daughter of Shmuel. And it was a tragic story that Rachel was the daughter of Shmuel. And she was captured. And she was also raped. And he was born, and Mari was born from such a situation. So the Gemara says
Mar, his name's from bitterness.
Interesting. But the way it says over here, she was captured, and there's a person took her forcefully. And later on, he became a convert, and they had this son, Reb Mori. But when the woman, when she became pregnant, his mother became pregnant as a Jew. His mother the father was a guy at the time because when he impregnated her, he was a guy, and therefore when we say who he was, we don't count him by his father, because his father. His father, who became a convert, impregnated. He became pregnant his mother when he was a guy. So therefore, we call him Mari, the son of the daughter of Shmuel. Okay, that's why we don't go after his father. So the Gemara says, Mari said, "Chazinu Rava." You know what? We observe Rava the Lo'avad Yishmaitei, that he changed his mind in his halacha, in his ruling. Ella magdim v'ko'ayel lebeit hakisei. He would go to the bathroom, which be in the morning, which is a very appropriate practice before you pray to go to the bathroom. V'nafik u'mashi yadei, and he would go ahead and after he would use the facilities, he would wash his hands. U'manach tefillin u'mevarech. You put on the tefillin, said the bracha on the tefillin. V'chi isur zimnach ritei. And when he needed the bathroom again, Ayo Lebeit HaKisei, obviously he took off his tefillin. He went to the bathroom, V'nafik, and he left. Umashi Yadei, washed his hands again. Umanach tefillin u'mevarech. And he put on the tefillin and he said what? Another bracha. So we see that you would go ahead and you don't say that one bracha covers you for the whole day. Rather, he made a bracha. He went to the bathroom. He made another bracha. And now the Gemara says, now we have Abaye and Rava, two of the great later rabbis, agreeing with the opinion of Rebbe, the early rabbi. So therefore the Gemara says, V'ananami keRebbe of Dinan. We hold like Rebbe, the morning, and we go ahead and we say, Muvarchin Chodesh Tov. Muvarchin Kol Shiva. We say a bracha all 7 days of Sukkot, right, which follows tefillin. When you have a mitzvah, and that mitzvah is continuous, and then you went ahead and you're doing the mitzvah again. You took off your tefillin, you're putting it back. You left the sukkah and you're coming back. That would obligate you to go ahead and say a new bracha. That's the parallel. Now we have to look up in halacha. We know, we have to look up more in halacha about, you leave the sukkah and you come right back. We don't say you step outside, you have to say a new bracha. But that's what, according to the Sfardim, that every time they take off the tefillin, see, Barashkanazim, that we say, if we have a mind to put it right back, we're not going to, say a new bracha. You have to use the men's room? So then you make a new bracha. Even Ashkenazim would say, no, talit was different than tefillin. Okay, I think when talit, I think we once had a discussion about this, Mark. I think we have to look it up again. I think by talit, generally, if you have in mind, if you take off your talit and you plan on not putting it back on, even if you didn't fold it, you would have to go ahead and say a new bracha because you had in mind you're not using it anymore, right? But I think folding it is an indication that you're done with it, right? But if you're not done with it, like Mark is saying, it fold it. If you didn't fold it, you went ahead, you gave your talit to someone else, needed a talit because they're opening in the heichal, and then he's going to give it back to you, whatever it is. You're not going to say a new bracha when he gives it back to you, correct? That would not be the custom. Now
we also say we don't say a beracha on a katan tzitzit. We have kavana when we say the letatef b'tzitzit to have kavana for the al mitzvah tzitzit. Ashkenaz say the beracha al mitzvah tzitzit.
Right. What Michael is saying is that when people it's very appropriate if people could wear a talit katan the whole day. It's a beautiful thing, and when you wear a talit katan, the tzitzit. Then when you come to the synagogue, when you put on your talit, gadal, the big talit, you have in mind, many people don't say the bracha on the talit katan in the morning. They wait. When they say the bracha on the talit, the big talit, they have in mind the tzitzit, the talit katan, the small tzitzit as well. That bracha should cover both the big talit and there are Ashkenaz and many Ashkenazim do that as well. That many of them they don't say a bracha on the talit katan. Only when they put on the talit gadal, then they will say a bracha on the only one bracha. Many of them do it that way. Well, now the Gemara says, "Vana nami k'Rabbi Yochanan k'Rabbi Avdina." We go like Rebbe. Mavrichina kol shiva. We say a bracha all 7 days of Sukkah. Amar Mazutra. Mazutra says the following. Chazina leil Rav Papi. I saw Rav Papi, the chol eimat the manat tefillin. He every time he put on tefillin, mevarech, he said a bracha. Even many times during the day, he would say a bracha. Sherabanan de Beravashi, and I also saw the rabbis of the yeshiva of Ashi. Kol eimat the mashmishi behu. Every time he went ahead and they touched the tefillin, and they would go ahead and make a bracha. Now, right. So now we have to understand what is this bracha that he said. We said the following. Every time he put on tefillin, meaning the first said every time he took on and put off, he made a bracha. That was the first statement. Second statement was every time they touched the tefillin. They didn't remove the tefillin. There's a mitzvah to touch the tefillin, right? At different places we touch our tefillin. It says a person has to touch his tefillin, and the purpose is obviously to remember and to focus. Don't forget you have your tefillin on. Don't lose focus. You have your tefillin. You can't be cracking jokes with your tefillin, right? You don't have your tefillin on and you're outside of shul. You want to make a nice joke, post a joke, make a nice joke. But you can't make jokes with your tefillin. There's a certain holiness you have to have. You can't be lightheaded with your tefillin, right? And so now you touch your tefillin at different parts. So now the question is, what is this bracha that he said? What is this bracha that he said that every time he touches tefillin? Is that a good question? Okay, but the language is he touched it, so it doesn't say that it moved from its place. So Tosfos, look at Tosfos. Look at the Tosfot, the second Tosfot to the bottom, very important. Every Tosfot is important. The Chol Eimat the Mashmishi Behu. You got it, Mark? You got it. Second Tosfot, right here. You see, right here is the Tosfot on this side of the left column. Second, the headline is the Kol, bolded. The Kol Eimat the Mashmishi Behu. Tosfot says the mitzvah the Mashish Behu. You get a mitzvah when you touch your tefillin. Why? Tosfot says, you shouldn't lose focus. You have your tefillin on. There's a mitzvah not to lose focus. The Beperakama, the Yuma Yafilim, it sits. the tzitz, the Kohen Gadol had a headband on his head. You know, like Lahavdil in tennis, they wear a certain thing, headband. Jack McEnroe, right? So he gotta mention he's looking at so you put he used to have a headband on his head, if I recall.
Kadosh leHashem, it said.
Kadosh Hashem, it said, holy to Hashem. That's what it said on the tzitz, one of the 8 garments of the Kohen Gadol. It was pure gold. And tzitz she'ein bo l'hazkara achat. As Michael said, tzitz has the name Hashem, Kadosh, holy to God. God's name was mentioned, written once, and yet it says she'ein bo l'hazkara, and yet you couldn't lose focus on it. You had to constantly remember. So tefillin, who has, you know how many names of Hashem are in your tefillin? You have 4 parashot of the Torah, the Shema, V'yim Shemoah, Kadesh, V'yikviacha. They're all in the tefillin. Sukkim from the Torah. You know how many psukim, you know how many names of Hashem are in those pasuk? Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. That pasuk alone has 2 times. So if it sits that headband that has the name of Hashem on it, you have to remember, not lose focus. Certainly, you can't lose focus when you have so many names of Hashem written in your tefillin. The lowest paresh, it doesn't explain what was the bracha. Tosfos says, Mahu mevarech. Im mevorchen lishma es chukav. Maybe the bracha is to guard the chukav, which it's referring to the tefillin. Maybe the bracha to Hashem, Elokeinu melcham Hashem, ki Hashem is also v'tzivanu. You command us to guard the tefillin, the shma chukav. Like we make the bracha. There was when you take off your tefillin, there was a bracha that there's an opinion that says you say a bracha upon removal of the tefillin. So maybe that's a bracha that you would say when you would feel the tefillin. Tosfos says. Old Tosfos says maybe you would just say the bracha lehaniach. Tosfos says you would or you would say a different bracha. Tosfos says it's logical that the bracha that you would say would be the bracha lishma chukav, to guard your tefillin, your chukim, keeping the chukim. That would be the bracha that you would say when you would touch the tefillin. We don't do that today. We don't say a bracha when we touch our tefillin. But touch your tefillin, never lose focus. Say you have tefillin. I wish everyone a chodesh tov, a beautiful day. All the best to everybody.
Mabruk, Rabbi.
Thank you. I'm reminding everybody tomorrow night's the wedding. Just a reminder to everybody. Oh, very good. Thank you, Michael. That's very cute. Thank you. Very good.
Thank you. Rabbi. Chodesh tov.
You too.
Mazel
Chodesh
tov.
tov.